It's very interesting watching these gentlemen do what they're doing here right now. This is called the capoeira, the Brazilian capoeira. You know that the Japanese have their karate, their judo, the Chinese have their kung fu and other martial arts skills, but the Brazilians as well, they also have their own unique style of doing martial arts, and this is called the capoeira. And we're joined by Salim. He'll be telling us more about what this is all about. Salim,
sure.
Looking at your teammates, is it teammates, colleagues? What do you call them when it comes to capoeira?
Capoeiristas.
Capo?
Someone who capoeirista.
Capoeirista.
It's someone who practices capoeira.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about the history of this martial arts discipline.
Okay, so yes, it's Brazilian, but we also say it's Afro-Brazilian martial art. So it's basically developed by Africans in Brazil, primarily from Central Africa, from Angola and Congo, who were brought to Brazil by the Portuguese. So really what we see in capoeira is earlier art forms and martial practices from the continent of Africa that kind of took shape in Brazil in the context of slavery.
Okay.
And so, and of course, as you've seen, it combines instrumentation, percussive instruments, it combines fluid movement,
okay.
And it's practiced inside of a circle. We only had a few people here today, but usually you have a circle of people. And in Brazil, you'll see a capoeira, we call it the roda, the circle is the roda,
yes.
with like people from the street. Like everyone knows capoeira, so people will come circle around, kind of like breakdancing was, you know, back in the day in the U.S., circle around, and the people oftentimes create the capoeira circle.
Okay, so it's somewhat of a cultural thing, something
Sure.
very cultural, but also look at it, looking at some of the things that you're doing, some of the techniques, the moves,
Yeah.
the bicycle kicks, the turns, all
I like
that.
Bicycle kicks.
Is it a defense, kind of, can you use it in defense, or is it just
Sure.
purely artistic?
So the roots of capoeira is a fighting art. So today we practice a kind of more a more inclusive, a kind of gentler aspect of capoeira. But back in the day, you know, a century ago, 2 centuries ago, all of these techniques were used in the streets, and capoeiristas were known as great fighters, even employed by the Brazilian government as kind of, you know, in some cases henchmen, but they were known to be serious fighters as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looking at this instrument, it almost looks similar to something that Kenyans also are very familiar to.
Sure.
We have something called the Urutu for the Luo community, I'm sure, and also the Obokano for the Kisi community.
Yeah.
So definitely shows that that African connection is really strong.
Yeah, that's where the roots are. So this is the primary instrument. We call it a birimbau in capoeira, but it has many names on the continent of Africa, and it shows up in a lot of different countries, Kenya included. So this is one of the cultural pieces that made its way across the Atlantic to Brazil.
Okay, thank you very much. That is Salim. He's involved with the capoeira in the country. It's interesting to see how the Kenyans, whether Kenyans will adopt it, because you are also not Brazilian, you are?
No, I'm from US. I'm from New York.
United States.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you for giving us your insights as far as the capoeira is concerned. I'm sure they'll just be posting their Facebook page, their Twitter handle. We'll link it up on our Twitter handles, our social media platforms. Just if you're interested in doing capoeira, if you're interested in doing, where can I do it?
So there are 2 schools. Yes. You can look at Capoeira Angola Center, Kenya. Okay. That's one. And then we have some folks who've also trained with Capoeira Balanço Negro. Okay. And then we have Dende. What's your group? Abolição Oxford, and through the UK, yeah? Okay, so we have 3 groups represented, and you can look up any of those online. Okay,
thank you very much. Of course, Michael King is somewhere on these grounds. Remember, we're at the Pampa Churrascaria here in Nairobi. It's a Brazilian steakhouse, and I can tell you for a fact, Michael King is enjoying those steaks like nothing else. Fenato, Brazilian food. What is the passion with meat? Why the passion with meat?
Well, at Pampa, what we do, it is a part of the Brazilian food. Yeah, that is more of the south area, from the Pampas where we come from, bordering with Argentina and Uruguay. So those huge areas of fields we use for cattle, and I mean we produce one of the best beef in the world for sure. So everything was related to meat from the beginning. And on the early 1800s, people decided now to make it better, to make it in a better way. They start serving around in the restaurants. And I mean, we are just glad that we will be able to bring this part of this culture as well to Kenya. I believe that there is much more to be shown, you know, much more to be shown on the Brazilian culture or the Brazilian food itself. But we try to do over here
Yeah.
a little bit of the best steaks probably that you can have in Kenya.
It's interesting looking at. There's a lot of. Is it like it's a bit artistic? The way the gentlemen will come, the waiters. Is it part of the ensemble, or is it just unique to Brazilians?
You know, we start with the
looking at
attire,
your outfit here.
yeah, that we wear.
Yes.
This is really a traditional way of dressing in the south area of Brazil.
Okay.
It is started a long time ago, and riding horses around. That's the reason of the boots.
Okay. If my colleague can just get shots of Mateo's attire, you can just look at it to see how he looks. The boots. Just describe for us this outfit.
Yeah, it started on the 1835, let me say like that, when we incorporate this kind of attire on our traditions.
Yes.
And up today, anywhere that you go in the south, you see people dressing like that, riding horses. It still happens.
Yes.
You know, it still happens. The idea of the food that we keep bringing around,
Yes.
for example, we do very many different kinds of meat, different cuts of beef. So all of them, they look different, they taste different.
Okay.
And we definitely, we always need to try
what's
to...
this? What's this right here?
This one is the top sirloin, which we call alcatra in Portuguese. Is one of very tender. Probably better than this, it will be the picanha or the rump steak, which each cut of each part of the cow now, it has a different flavor, it has a different texture. So over here at Pampa, you get to enjoy pretty much the whole cow.
And then I noticed that there's some interesting house rules, and you can just describe for us when, for example,
Yes.
this gentleman puts for me a piece of meat.
Yeah.
He puts for me a piece of meat, and perhaps, of course, I don't have such a big appetite like Michael Kinyi. This entire piece of meat, Michael Kinyi will wolf it down quite easily. For me, it's just that small piece there. I noticed that there's something that they normally do here. It's like this. What is this thing here?
Yeah, the idea of the rodizio, that is what we call the system.
Yes.
Since that we have over 15 different cuts,
Yes.
it will be a little bit rush or inconvenient if we keep bringing everything at once.
Yes.
And maybe want to have a conversation or so.
Yes.
So the idea of the card
Yes.
is you can help us
Okay.
to serve. Yeah.
Okay.
If you want a break,
So you just put it on
come
the
to
camera.
right.
Put it on the camera there.
If you want to break, you just say no thanks.
No thanks.
Obrigado.
Michael Kinyi never says no thanks.
Mine is still on green.
I am still in the race.
There are those who are on green all the time, you know. The idea is you keep eating as much as you can.
Yeah, as
Yes.
much as you can.
Yes.
It's interesting that when you introduced this concept here in Kenya, I'm sure it worked well with most Kenyans because of nyama choma.
Certainly, yes. We started actually. We are in Kenya for now 12 years.
Yes.
And it is a great thing because Kenyans or Africans in general, I believe they really love meat a lot. Yeah. and when you have an idea of you pay a very small price and you eat as much as you want of meat and different cuts of meat, or beef or pork or lamb or chicken, fish,
Yes.
camel, crocodile, turkey. You know, so it really works very well. People really enjoy, and we are very glad for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Michael Kinyi, you are still on green.
I'm still on green. I think I'll be on green for another 20 minutes. Benja will tell you as an athlete,
Yes.
there's that period where you eat a lot, especially when you're off training.
Yes.
That is where I
You've
am.
been off training for a while, Mike.
Olympics. They have put me down, but now I'll be back. So before I get back, what's an ekule?
Before we wind up, first of all, Matthias, just interested to find out if just a small recipe if you want to make what makes good meat. I'm thinking somebody watching, it's lunchtime, it's preparing meat, it's just stopped.
I think the source of quality, yeah, that's the most important. We don't really season that much, or we use a little bit of seasoning like the rock salt, the pepper, a little bit of herbs to make it better, but the quality is what really matters.
The quality.
And we are very glad that we are able to get really good quality that Kenya produce, and once that you have a really good quality of meat, you don't really need to do much on that.
Thank you very much. That is Matteo, of course, just the general manager of Pampa Churrascaria, giving us some insights about Brazilian food. That is also another component of Brazilian culture. The Olympic Games are taking place in Brazil. We focused on Team Kenya, 6 gold medals, 6 silver, and 1 bronze medal. An amazing performance by the national team. Top of Africa as far as athletics is concerned. 2nd in the world as far as athletics is concerned. 13th as far as the overhaul, the entire group of medal standings are concerned. Indeed, a fantastic performance by Team Kenya. As Michael Kinyi signed off, it's also my turn to sign off. I can tell you for a fact, I've been here for about an hour plus, about an hour 20 minutes. I can tell you my meat has gone cold, so I need it to be reheated so I have something to eat. But nonetheless, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Thank you so much for Jemima Sumgong, the first gold medalist, her husband as well. And also would like to say thank you to the general manager of Pampa Churrascaria for hosting us this afternoon. Also, thank you to the National Rugby Sevens team head coach Benjamin Ayimba for giving us his insights as far as the national team is concerned. For us, enjoy your afternoon. See you next Monday as we shift back